Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mike Ogbinar.
Okay, thank you, Sherwin, and thank you, Sir Art. Okay, so let's start now. So I'm Mike. I'm the founder of Data Engineering Pilipinas. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll be walking you through on essentially why you should build a career in data engineering. Okay, so this is actually our introduction to newbies slides, and it's what you can see actually when you join or when you visit our website. So let me first start with the basics. So normally people hear about data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, but not so much about data engineering. So what is data engineering? Data engineering at the very high level is, well, you can see it actually on the left side of the screen. It's the meme. If we're going to summarize it in one or two sentences, it's essentially to be able to move data from one place to another in the most efficient and scalable manner. Okay, so on the right side, you can see that there is, usually a hierarchy of needs when it comes to data, and the flow is from the bottom to the top. So it's very much similar to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you can see that there are different things that you can do or you need to do with respect to that data. And at the very bottom, you need to essentially find that data, extract it, and load it to the right location. You need to transform it to the right structure or format, such that people can start, understanding that data, what it means. And then from there, that's where, some of the things, the more popular things happen, like the application of data science, application of AI, and then eventually to the consumption, where you start doing prediction, etc., etc. Data engineering is essentially at the foundation of this structure or hierarchy. It is tasked with building the data stack to support all of these activities. Ultimately, without having proper data engineering in place, it's going to be very hard to have data that will support all of these downstream activities. So who works with data engineers? So if you've been following all of the recent activities by AAP, one of the major projects led by Sir Sherwin was the formulation and publication of the skills framework, for analytics and AI. And this is actually it. It's a map of the different uh, roles now within this industry. And you can see I highlighted, not so well, but enough, the parts where we have data engineer, and you can see that it's essentially the one that is helping out, with respect to the different groups, so if their task is to set up the data infrastructure, they will be the ones to ensure that data is flowing properly, from the source to the storage, and it's continuously live in the right format, and in an efficient and scalable manner. So when I say scalable, regardless of the size, regardless of the, what are the definitions of big data, regardless of the size, the speed, the veracity of the data, etc., it will be there such that whenever the people that needs to consume it uh, would require it, the data will be there. No? So they work with a lot of different roles within the organization. Especially, as I mentioned, they work with at the foundational level of the data hierarchy. Given this, what skills are important to a data engineer? So if you saw, the previous slide, they work with a lot of different roles. They work with the data analyst, the business intelligence, the data scientist, even data governance, the data stewards. It's really iterative in nature because they need to make sure and work with each and every one of them, such that regardless at which part of the pipeline the data is properly being managed. So you can see here on the left side, this is the typical data engineering workflow. So I mentioned already that essentially the role is to move the data from one place to another. Actually, that definition, it's very simplified, no? Moving of data from one place to another implies a lot of things. One is being able to identify where data is generated, no? So the generation of the data. Being able to set up and identify and prepare the storage, no? What is the infrastructure that will be used to store this information, and then creating a pipeline that will connect to the source where data is being generated and be able to extract that information and load it to the storage. So that process is, we call it the ingestion step. Once we ingest that data, we need to transform it to a form where consumption can happen. Sometimes data is in a very raw format. For example, if it's from, let's say, operational database, no? The way IT has developed an application, sometimes it's very raw and very technical in nature. It will not be understandable by people that will be consuming it. So, what do you mean by that? So, for example, let's say that the data is in text format. No? It's raw text. If, for example, the analyst, they do not need the raw text, maybe they just need some information about the text. No? Maybe let's say it's an email, but what they just need are specific entities within that email. Let's say the names, maybe the information, such as, let's say, if it's a banking email, let's say it's the account numbers, etc. So being able to prepare that data such that it's going to be usable by the final users, and to fit into the storage data model, that's another step. So we call it transformation. And then the preparation to the actual serving, that's another step. The serving step, that's where it is actually being prepared for use in terms of analytics, business intelligence, machine learning, or even being sent to downstream applications. So normally we call it a reverse ETL. It can be like another application or another database. That's another step in the pipeline. The undercurrents, you can see that there are other processes that needs to be taken into account. So for example, if you're going to move data from one place to another, but that data includes private information, sensitive information, then we need to take into account security, right? Let's say we need to think about data management is another thing. So there are a lot of things to think about when you talk about data management. How will data be transferred from one place to another? Is that going to be encrypted? Is that going to be in a specific format? How are you going to connect to the source? Is that going to be through API, through flat files? No? Data operations will be essentially looking at the operational resiliency of the data pipeline. How is it going to be supported when something fails? No? What is the robustness of the code that's going to be deployed in production? How often is it going to be run? If there's going to be an SLA put into place, for example, let's say a business will dictate okay, I want my analytics by 6 a.m. every day because it's important to my business. So then we need to make sure that our data pipeline would have an SLA going back even up to the source, right? So how is that going to be handled? Data architecture is another thing. Sometimes the data, sources of the data, it's completely unknown. Maybe it's something that you inherited, or maybe there was a change in terms of the vendors. Then you need to think about how to map it. So architecture is one thing, and then another would be creating the model to understand it, right? So what will be the technology stack that will form this life cycle, and then what will be the actual data model, the structure, the schema to represent all of that. The orchestration, I kind of talk about it a bit when we talk about the data operations. how are we going to support the multitude of data pipelines, especially if some of them are dependent from one another, right? And then lastly, of course, the software engineering. So we need to think about, when you code the data pipeline script, sometimes it's written in scripts, sometimes it's written in other languages. We need to make sure that there is proper software engineering practices in place. So the movement from development, testing, and deployment to production, code repository, code checking, etc. So that's another angle. And there are a lot of other skills that we need to think about, right? So communication, understanding the domain, because the technical skill is one thing, the domain knowledge in terms of the data is another thing, and then the understanding of the architecture is another thing. Especially when we start looking at the data. Who needs data engineers? That's another thing. So this is, the slide essentially tries to map out what the industry landscape looks like. And I try to cut it into different views. On the left side, this is a research from McKinsey back in 2017. This probably has changed, but essentially, one good angle to look at is how digitally mature an industry is, and probably that sector has need of data engineers. Why? Because if a company is digitally mature, they have more IT systems, they think around digital, then most probably they generate a lot of data. And if they generate a lot of data, they want to take advantage of that data. And if you can, if you want to take advantage of data, then you need data engineers to collect them, store them somewhere, and make sure that they are usable. If they don't have that, it's going to be very troublesome to your, if they hire any data scientists and data, analysts and analytics people. Actually, what will happen is that if they hire an analyst, that person will be forced to become a data engineer. So these are areas of opportunities for you. Another is that you can look at the top players. Why? Because the top players in the industry, regardless of whatever specific domain that they play in, they will want to improve, right? Continuously improve, and that means taking advantage of the data that they have. Data will be something that will be very unique to an industry. Sorry, will be very unique to a business. Why? Because each business would have different contexts. They will have different customers. They will have different circumstances. They will have different architectures, and they will not be able to really take advantage of that and maximize it if they do not look at their data. And all of that begins with having good infrastructure in place. Otherwise, it will not be scalable. I mean, definitely they can hire a lot of interns that will manually gather all of that data, but it will not be efficient. It will not be scalable. Okay, so let's look at the data engineering gap. So I already mentioned about the data, the data hierarchy of needs, right? Most of the requirements that needs to happen is at the bottom, which is the collection of the data, the movement of the data, and the storage of the data, and then the exploration and transformation. All of which will not happen without data engineers. But this is where the gap happens. If you listen to what's been, very popular in the past 5 to 10 years, and even now, right? It's always at the top, right? The data science, the analytics, and more recently the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, which is fine, which is good. But of course, the gap there is that no one is looking at the data engineers, and this is what we want to be able to address. It's one of the key reasons why we started together with Sherwin and all of the key players in the AAP and the analytics industry. We looked at, okay, so this is a gap that we want to be able to address. How do we get more people to look at the data engineering career path? Because we need more of that. We need more of this skill. The more people that knows how the workflow happens, and what are the things that needs to be taken into account to be able to properly set up a data management in an architecture that will create and deliver that data that all of this top downstream processes need. No? Your analytics, your reporting, your machine learning, all of these are data-hungry processes. No? But what will you do if your data is in photocopy printed Excel sheets, right? Nothing's going to happen. So that's what we want to address. So then we ask the question: is data engineering for you? So let me give you some very high level stuff about data engineering. This one was a question I raised to ChatGPT back in 2021. You can probably still try to ask the same question, but I think the prompt was around what are the reasons to become a data engineer. So definitely there's high demand, especially data. It's the very basic, no? It's the oil, and it's only going to get worse now. So people will want, businesses will want, organizations will want more data. So finding more data is there. So it's going to increase in demand. It's lucrative because no one is going into this career. It's an essential role. It's challenging. It's very challenging. It will require continuous learning. This is like the average, just looking at some of the job sites now, the average salary. And it's one of the fastest growing. But let me, show you some of the posts in the data engineering group. Yan. Now, this is some of the telling stuff. No? So these are some of the posted opportunities in the group. So you can see some of the example salaries, some of the example technologies, some of the example work locations and work setups. The point here is that it's a very flexible career and there's a lot of rewarding experiences. The challenge here is that you need to learn so much, which is, I would say, the same thing with all of the new technologies. Actually, any digital career path, you need to learn so much because most of the things that is happening right now has just recently occurred. Like for example, if you're going to be an expert in ChatGPT, that's only just recently happened, right? And it's the same thing with most of the technologies as well is in data engineering, especially in the cloud space. Okay. So how does joining Data Engineering Pilipinas benefit you? So I highlighted 6 things. The first one is skill enhancement. We do a lot of sharing of training material and training material which are mostly free and open source. Networking. So we are a slowly growing group and there's a lot of opportunity to network and connect with people that might give you more opportunities. Staying updated, so there's a lot of discussion in terms of new technologies as well as skills. So lots of things, opportunities for you to learn, not just the skills, but also, the latest news around this industry. Problem solving, definitely. There are so many problems to look at when it comes to building a healthy data pipeline. And it will really, scratch that itch and keep you up at night when you try to solve these things. We are also part of a global community, and I'll slightly talk about this later, but if you know PyData, we are officially a PyData group. And of course, and this is what I want to highlight, it's also a source of inspiration. There are a lot of people that share their stories within the group that come from different contexts and situations. And it's really inspiring because you can see that they've, the different situations that they come through, they were able to transition to this career path and they were able to meet their own levels of success. So some key programs that we're running right now within the group, but before I talk about that, the key principles that I aim for or we aim for are just 3 things. The first one is we want to aim for accessible quality learning and open resources, meaning we want the learning materials to be free as much as possible and to be high quality. And accessible, meaning it comes in all forms of modality, meaning it's some of it are in text, in videos, in practical applications. We also aim to drive meaningful community engagement. It's not just sharing of links, but we want to drive discussions drive engagement and build relationships within the community. And the last one is we want to build an actual community where you are allowed to grow, no? And growing entails failing, experimentation, getting feedback, which is I think it's where Data Engineering Pilipinas does a lot. So here are some things, and the when I started, we only focus really on these two things. The first one is the development of our website. The website holds all of the links that we've been sharing with each other. It's all around, free materials, free links, free videos, etc. And it holds a set of roadmaps that we recommended, or at least the popular roadmaps with respect to data engineering. With this, we were also able to expand it to other roles. So it's already included data analyst, data science, even machine learning, deep learning. It's all there. No? We also created a lot of joined other platforms. So we're primarily in Facebook groups, but we are also present in Discord, LinkedIn, Reddit, as well as group chat, YouTube as well. No? So we're kind of everywhere. So initially we started here, and then some of the people within the group volunteered to start up other initiatives. So the first one is this year we started our mentoring program. So the idea with the mentoring program is that people can step up and volunteer as mentors, and then the mentees, they can reach out to these mentors, and then they can sign up and then match together and discuss now. Work together in terms of their journey. So that's one. Another is that, so this one is being driven by one of our moderators. His name is Phil. The other one is a project being driven by Sandy, so one of our moderators also. It's called the Data Masters now. So the Data Masters is essentially a copy-paste of Toastmasters, but the idea is to focus more on a public presentation of your projects, interviews, handling interviews. So we do a lot of, or every so often we run meetings around this, and then the members present and people comment. No? And then more recently, we became a partner of DataCamp. So DataCamp allows a program called Donates, which they partner with communities to provide free accessible learning. So essentially, they give us DataCamp licenses, which we give out free to the community through a registration process. So essentially that. So besides the already free learning materials that was provided, books, etc., through the website, we also partnered with DataCamp. We're trying to reach out to other online communities, but these are the starting points. And so far it's been, I think, positively received. So, but the point is, it's still, all aligned to the key principles that we've been aiming for. So some statistics for DEP, just as of June 2024, we are currently at around 28,000 members, around average of 15 posts per day. We're scattered around the Philippines, and so a lot are in NCR, but we also have a lot in the provinces. We're mostly the young age, and then we aim to partner with a lot of different communities, no? Kasi we believe that it's not really just us, no? It's the digital community. So we partner with a lot like-minded groups, and we try to support each other, do our best to support each other's initiatives. And there's a lot of professionals and career shifters and students within the demographics. So it's very nice. So we also do meetups, both online and offline. So we should do our meetups, online meetups by Discord, and then online we did this, I think, early this year. We'll try to do another one, maybe in the next few months now. It's usually just sharing of stories, but we'll try to do more technical ones soon now. So just to summarize, my presentation, what is Data Engineering Pilipinas? Data Engineering Pilipinas is a community for data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, developers, AI and ML engineers, and users of closed and open source data tools, methods, and techniques in the Philippines. So we primarily started with data engineers, but there's a lot of people that are different skills and wants and focus areas. We kind of adopted them. Data Engineering Philippines is also a PyData group. So PyData is a global community that's very, actually this definition, I just copy pasted it from PyData. And if you don't know PyData, PyData is the one that is sponsoring the following projects, no? NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, Jupyter. So they are really, in the open source space, which is really inspiring for me because their goal is to open source the ability to work with data, to the learning skills, the data literacy, etc. And that's essentially it. If you want to know more, you can visit the website. So it's dataengineering.ph. And if you have any questions, GPT-4o can answer them. No, just kidding. So yeah, that's for me.